Hello guys and welcome back. In the previous video we have set up our first grid. So right now it's not doing anything, it's not showing up the items yet, but in this video we're just gonna be focusing in creating the logic behind adding and removing items. Not too much UI yet, and then we're gonna jump on the UI probably the next one, right? So it's gonna be a quicker one, this one. So let's go ahead, right? So what we're gonna need to do here is gonna go back to main components, BC inventory, right? Open this up. Nice. So in here we have the player interaction item. So right now we need to add those items and remove those items as we actually go through. So we're just gonna be doing the add item, the remove item logic, because the remove item will require a couple of we need drag and drop and things like that it will require some more information. Right, so let's go ahead here. We're gonna create a new variable. Let me first put this inside something called inventory settings, right? And we're gonna move this as well, inventory settings, and let's create a new variable called player or actor items. Yeah, and this is gonna be st items. Nice. Compile and save, and make it public. And this is going to be an array. It's gonna be an array of as many as we need, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a function called add inventory item, right? And then we're going to create another one called remove inventory item. Nice. Okay, so on the add inventory item, what we're going to do here is basically we have the item to add. So the item to add, yeah, let's go ahead and here in the inputs we're going to create another one called items to add. The type's going to be st item, because yeah, that's the type of the item we're working with. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go to actor items here, and we're going to add. But before we can add, what we could actually do here as well is to make sure there's one variable that we're missing here that I forgot to add it. It's gonna compile and save. Let's go back in here to main. Let's go back to variables, item. In here we have something called we don't have a quantity. We don't know how many items we are storing. So I'm just gonna add another variable. I'm gonna call this stack, right? And this is gonna be integer. Compile and save. Remember, because we're playing with st item, which is related to inventory items, I'm just gonna close the engine without saving anything. And right now I'm just gonna open that back. That's the wrong part. Alright guys, so after you open the engine, let's go back in here to main. Sorry, let's open up our Word level there. Okay, cool. Now, yeah, let's open whatever we're working on. So if you open up your BPC inventory now, you should have something called stack, right? So you have the inventory and then you have this stack, how many items you have in there, right? So what we gotta do here is to make sure that we find the item index so we can add the item index again without having to add too much trouble on it or something like this. So I'm gonna create another function and I'm gonna call this find inventory item, right? And this will need a parameter, right? normally the parameters we got here, let me just double check here, is you got inventory index, and we so the index doesn't matter. We could probably use the name to make sure they match. Yeah, name's quite unique, so let's use the name. Right, so to find inventory items, we're gonna get a actor items there, get. We're gonna do a for each loop. Yeah, after you create that new function, find inventory item, we're gonna get the actor items. We're gonna do a for each, and we're gonna break here, and we're gonna make sure that we're just gonna check if the player, if the name is equal whatever we're trying to send here, right? Which is gonna be B, is going to be the item name, right? So if this match with that name, it's going to create a branch. We can do some stuff, right? So what I want to do here as well is, instead of using a number for each, I'm going to using something called for each with break. So in this way, when you met the condition, we can stop the execution and then carry on doing whatever. So so in this way we save memory as well. Yeah, so it's more it has better performance. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do that. Just gonna loop this. If you're wondering how do I manage to move those around, yeah, you're just holding here, press Control, click, and then you can drag and drop stuff around. Yeah, so just hold here, drag and drop. It works for all those nodes. You can plug this guy in here, and then you can, I don't want this here, you can just move it in there and do all sorts of stuff. Right. Okay, so if they match, what I want to do here is I want to create a local variable called match index. So I want to make sure that I know the index and has found, right, has found. Cool, compile and save. So if is match, then has found is true, and match index needs to be integer. Match index needs to be integer, and the index here is that. All right, nice. So the reason why we're matching this is because we kind of, at this point, we want to, if the inventory is already in the inventory, we just want to add the quantity on top of it. We're not going to be doing stuff like stacking the items in pieces and things, because that can get very, very complicated. But we're going to just do the basic. We're just going to make sure that we got the item there, we know the index, so we can actually add the quantity of the item in the index. Right, so if they match, we're gonna go ahead and go to the break loop. Just gonna align this here. Yeah, to do this node, you just double click on the line, and then you can actually make sure it makes just a pretty design. Right. Once it's complete, we can call the return node, right? So the return node is basically gonna return has found. It's going to return me the match index, and we're just going to call this has found the item, and let me just call this item and item index. Nice. Okay. And there we go. So when we're adding the inventory here, we're gonna call this function called find inventory, which we're gonna break the name here. Actually, what we can actually even do here, and that's fine. Oh, it's gonna leave it like this for now. We just pass the name here, right? Compile and save, nice. Right, and then we're gonna do a branch, right? If has found. Let's do if it's not. If it's not found, then that's easy. Just gonna do get, add, and then you just add this item there. That's easy. So if it's not found, we're just gonna add a simple item here, and we don't care about anything else. We're just gonna add the item there, and that's fine. And then we can actually call the return node, because at this point it's finished, right? But if has found the item already on the system, then we kind of have to do a couple of things. First thing we need to do here is we need to get the item. Let's make sure we got the item there, because we got the reference coming up. And then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna break the member, and we only want the quantity here. We don't care about anything else. We just want to know how many we had in stock before, right? And then what you want to do there is the same thing. You gotta actually set array element, yeah. So the array element is this index, and the item you want to, I think you can do set members. Oh, let me check here if you can add unique. Yeah, we need to do set, right? That's fine. Set member. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just gonna do it this way. So set array element, that's nice. Yeah. And in here it's gonna ask for the item, right? Right. So in here, what we can actually do here is we can call set member in here. The structure we want is actually, if you're getting a copy, get a copy. Okay, right. We don't need this then. We do need that, but we don't need that kind. I'm gonna explain why. Right. When you do, if you check here, when you say get a copy, means that we have a copy of the array on our memory. So whatever we update in the set members is updating straight here. So you don't need to resave that variable again, right? And because we kind of need to know how many items we got there in the stack, so we can do something like add this plus whatever is the stack of the items coming here. Then we can add that new value in here. Let me just open up, make sure here we also clean up this a little bit. So we can actually do something like this. Yeah. And let me explain you guys what this is actually doing. Right. So what we're doing here is basically we try to call this from here. We're gonna call that here, right? So it's gonna call this method, and this method is basically doing something simple, right? So it's basically getting the product name, the item name, sorry. It's coming to the file inventory ID and is doing something, some things in here. So we're getting whatever the actor items have, doing a loop and saying, oh, do we have this item on the system? And then it's gonna be like, yeah, we have. So what do we do now? So we make sure it has found matching index, so we get the index of the item. We break the loop so this doesn't waste memory doing, and then we complete. So then we send those variables back to that inventory, right? If we have those items in there, right, it's true. So if it's false, if you don't have the items, we just add to the inventory array and we don't care. Just proceed and that's it. It's done. But if we have already in the system, what I want to do is I want to increase the stack, because if you have 3 apples, you get another apple, you're going to have 4, and so on and so forth. So the way to do this is basically I want to get an actor reference, which is the index that comes from this here, yeah. So because I have the actor reference, I want to get some information. Please give me the stack of this item. How many do you have in stack? So I get that. I'm going to add that stack plus whatever is the new, plus how many items I'm getting as well, I'm collecting. And that's my new value. And because I have the new value, right, I know the index of the item. Sorry, I can actually add this the stack. And because I add the stack, now I have the item on the player, right? So it's not very complicated logic. It's just something that is a little bit tricky maybe to understand. But yeah. Right, cool. With this done, now we just need to call that method in here, right? Oh, sorry, on the player inventory, whatever. So I'm gonna call that method in here, and now I am gonna just add this here. Right. Item to add, create the log, and there we go. Actually, to see if this is working, right, I am just gonna get the actual items in here. I am just gonna do length after, and I am just gonna do a printing here, just so we can actually see the how many items do we have. Compile and save. Right. Press play. 0, 1. So he has added 1 item there. And now what we can actually do here is we can get, for example, get reference. I'm just gonna get the first key, and then I'm gonna get the stack, right? Compile and save. I'm gonna create 2 items in there to test it. On here, this one I'm gonna give the quantity of 3. So if everything goes right, we should have 5 at the end. I think it's because the stack here. I'm just gonna do a for each then. For each loop. Just so we can see the, you know, the items coming to us. Nice. You don't have to do this, it's just so we can actually see the item coming up. So with resource, nice, and then we can also get a stack here. I think this stack should show properly now. Let's see if that 0, 0. So the stack is still coming as 0. So there's something wrong with the stack. Let's just have a look in here why the stack's not coming true, right? So we are getting the stack. Yes, I know, because that's the wrong thing. The thing is that when you add the item here, we need to pass the quantity we wish to add as well. So because it doesn't have that stuff, so we're gonna add here, and we're gonna call this quantity to add. Yeah. So the quantity to add here is integer, and what I want to do here is I'm just gonna promote this to a local variable, quantity to add item, right? Put it in here and put it like this, right? What I'm gonna be doing here, guys, is just instead of using stack here, which is not, it was right, but we don't say the stack is when the item is already added, because the quantity comes from the physical item. So now we can pass the quantity in the plus here. So adding the whatever the stack is plus whatever is the new quantity that is coming from the item itself. If you press play, we should be able to see 2 and 5 thereafter. So it's still coming up wrong. Let me just double check here. Oh yeah, because you're not passing through there. That should work now. 2, 3. There you go. It's not getting the updated data. It's always getting the out of date data. But at this moment, we are actually adding those items in the stack. So I'm just gonna delete this because I don't really need that right now. In the next video, we're gonna go through now doing stuff like when you get the item, you press tab, and then you can see the item in there with a couple of information. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I know it may be complex. There's a lot of things in here that looks complex, but once you break everything by parts, everything starts to make sense. Yeah, but so in the next one, we're gonna be working with our inventory. So thank you very much for watching, and see you guys on the next one.